What's up, fam? Coach Cam. In today's video, we're going to be talking about getting lean and the benefits and the drawbacks to being lean. So starting off, some of the big benefits is, one, you're leaner, so you can see your abs better. You look more visually appealing, right? You can see the separation of your muscles, and you don't just look like kind of a big block and you can't see any muscles because the fat is covering them. So that is a huge plus. You look better most of the time, especially without your shirt on, right? You could see your muscles without fat covering them. So it's a huge plus. Next, your cardio improves. So this is something that not a lot of people discuss, but it definitely happens. It's happened to me and others as well. When you lose body fat, your cardiovascular fitness improves. You have better endurance in all things. I myself practice running. It's kind of a hobby, but I like to be prepared to race or run if I need to, or if I'm with my friends who also run. And running is a lot easier when you weigh less, right? I've lost 20 pounds in the last 6 months, and running has never felt easier for me, right? So it's really awesome. You don't have to run or do cardio to lose weight, but once you do lose the weight, the cardio in all things, running, lifting, it all has improved because your body has now less weight, less resistance to move, and you just feel a lot better doing any activity because you're lighter and you're still strength training, so you're still getting stronger, so you're able to produce more force against your own body weight being even lighter, right? So it's a really awesome thing to lose body fat if you're about that life. So those are two of the best benefits. Also, your face looks leaner, so you can kind of see your jaw and other features of your body better because you don't have any fat covering them. Kind of already touched on that. I want to go over some of the drawbacks and some of the perceived drawbacks that people will say about losing fat. So a lot of people will say, well, I have no energy, my sleep is disrupted, it's unsustainable, things like that. You really have to break that down into the context that someone's talking about, because when you're in a calorie deficit, you don't just have low energy all the time, right? You only have low energy when you are not eating enough at those points, right? So that could be right when you wake up in the morning. It could be before you go to bed in the evening, or whatever points you're choosing to draw calories away from. That's when you're going to feel low energy. You don't want to feel low energy when you go into the gym, when you're going in to work out. You don't want to have any low energy whatsoever. You want to have good energy, high energy, and you want to be carved up so you can get a pump from your workouts, right? That's the other thing. Everyone says, oh, my workouts are trash. It's because you're going in carb depleted. Even if you have to stack almost all of your calories before your workout, it's worth it, because then your workout will be that much more productive and be able to stimulate muscle growth, which is your whole goal, I'm assuming, so that you can have the best physique possible and the best fitness possible. So if you have low energy, hopefully it's just during the times that you are in a calorie deficit or in the most energy deficit or depleted, and you're not having low energy all the time. You don't really want to have low energy all the time. I myself have 2 jobs, so there's no way I could function if I actually had low energy all the time. Both my jobs are physical. So you should not have low energy all the time, but you will have it sometimes, and that's normal, right? What about low libido, right? Low sex drive. People say that a lot. Well, that's kind of true, because especially, like I said, when you are depleted, when your energy levels are low, you're going to have low energy levels. So you're not going to feel like having sex. And it depends on maybe the time of day, though. Maybe you have more energy for that at a different point in the day, but maybe in evenings you don't. So it just depends on who you are and when your energy deficit is the greatest. And obviously, if you get really lean, it probably would eliminate that completely. So you don't want that, right? That's not optimal for your hormones, obviously, unless you're going in for a show and you're going to push yourself to that point. And obviously, your spouse should understand that. That's part of what it takes to go into a show. Everyone's a little bit different with that one, but hopefully it's not unbearable and it's something you can work around or push through for a small amount of time. Some other cons that people say are that their hunger levels are really high, right? They're starving. They tell you don't starve yourself. Well, yeah, don't starve yourself, like don't eat nothing, but you still have to eat in a deficit if you're going to lose weight. You shouldn't feel like you're starving all the time because your ghrelin hormone, the hunger hormone, actually will adjust, right? Your hunger levels will adjust, especially after the first week or two, right? A lot of people will start a diet and then they're just like, oh, I just got so hungry. Well, your body is used to you eating at certain times during the day and certain amounts of food and even the types of food that you're eating. So it makes sense that you feel hungry. However, you have to fight through that and continue to work on your diet and find a way to eat higher volumes of food that are maybe lower calories, right? So that's kind of where whole foods come into play. You don't want to eat bags of chips and donuts and things like this because they're not very filling and you're getting a ton of calories that you don't want, right? It's easier to go over your calories if you're eating foods that don't fill you up, right? So instead, eat meats, dairy, eat like vegetables, fruits, yogurt, stuff like that, right? Protein shakes, stuff like that. You want high protein, but lower calories. And a lot of people will kind of confuse this with health. So they'll say, oh, I thought this food was healthy my whole life and found out it's not very healthy, or this food's healthier than that food. And really, you have to come down to like, what's their framework behind them saying that? Are they saying it's healthier because it's lower calories? Because that would only make it healthier, quote, I'm using it generally, if somebody trying to lose weight, then it's the better choice for you. But there's a lot of things that are not very healthy, and it doesn't matter if they're low calorie or not. They're still not like great for you, right? If you had a low calorie, Snickers bar, is that more healthy than a regular Snickers bar? Well, it depends. Are you trying to eat in a calorie deficit? Then it would be the better choice to choose the low calorie one. But as far as health, they're both not healthy. So just because something's lower calorie doesn't like bump it into the healthy range. It just makes it a low calorie unhealthy option, right? It's kind of like protein bars, right? I love protein bars. I like the MedRx bars. But it's still a bar. Like, it's not a whole food source of nutrition. It's not going to give me a lot of micronutrients. And even, I don't care what the package says, because a lot of those are synthetic vitamins that they fill in that mimic the original vitamins, but they're not actually the same. So don't get caught up in thinking things that are low calorie are actually healthy, or just because it says protein on it, that it has enough protein content to have a meaningful impact on your total daily protein intake, right? There's MedRx makes potato chips now that have protein in them, and there's protein cereal you can buy. However, if you look at the ingredients of these cereals and chips, it's soy protein or pea protein. And if you know anything about protein sources, there's a very high chance that those are just extremely low quality protein sources. It's like the cheapest possible protein just to be able to say like, oh, there's protein in here, right? Just kind of like, white bread or something. It's like, oh, they have just enough wheat in there to be like, oh, it's got fiber in it. But really it's not a healthy option at all, right? It is what it is, but it could be a low calorie option if you're still going for that. But ideally, your health is multifaceted anyway. So your health is going to come down to training the muscles of your body, not over consuming sugars, right? Keeping sugars and simple carbohydrates at a very low percentage of your diet, and then eating high protein and plenty of whole foods to get a variety of micronutrients, right? So that's ideally what you would eat for calorie deficit, but also just for overall health. And these foods are not foods that you're going to be addicted to. You don't get addicted to chicken or beef, right? Or milk or yogurt. You don't get addicted to foods that are whole foods, right? Foods that have like one ingredient in them. What's broccoli? It's broccoli, right? There's no other ingredients. Nobody's addicted to these foods. So it's a good idea to eat these and to avoid foods that are in packages and boxes that are largely found in the centers of the grocery store aisles. I'm not trying to scare you or be extreme about it. Don't comment something and say, oh, I'm scaring people into not eating. No, I'm trying to help you have a realistic perspective of what's healthy and what's not, right? We have really, really old, outdated, poor research that has tried to say that saturated fat causes heart disease and consuming saturated fat is bad for you. However, this is not the case. You could eat an extremely low-fat diet and your cholesterol can still go up because your liver makes cholesterol. So if you eat more of it, your liver will make less. If you eat less of it, your liver will make more. This kind of ties in with diabetes. So you have a lot of people who are struggling with diabetes, who are trying to cure themselves or take their doctor's recommendations. But ideally with diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes, if you do not train the skeletal muscles of your body, you will not have the muscle mass capable of burning through carbohydrates and burning through glycogen. So even if you eat low sugar, like especially in America, you can't avoid it forever. Like you're going to eat carbohydrates, you're going to eat sugars, and it's not all bad provided that you have muscle mass and you train regularly to burn through your glycogen stores so that you can actually replenish them and remain sensitive to glucose and sensitive to insulin. Type 2 diabetes is basically when your entire insulin sensitivity shuts off. It gives up and says, you know what, fine, we can't get all this sugar out of your bloodstream if you're going to keep eating like this. So how you combat that is eat less sugar and actually train the muscles of your body. Hopefully this video has helped you guys understand more about health, more about fitness, more about calorie deficits and kind of the pros and cons to them. I've been getting leaner lately. It's been awesome. However, it's coming to a close. Hopefully this will be my last week or so of cutting, and then I will look forward to having a lean bulk. But at the end, thanks guys so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, comment down below what you learned, and go ahead and share this with your friends, and I will see you guys in the next one.